Hello and welcome to my channel, Yongo's Mixed Guide, where I will be offering some advice on the processes involved in the MEXT scholarship application. The video will include a bit about me, what MEXT is, the types of MEXT scholarship, and an overview of the MEXT application process. So a bit about me to start with. My name is Yongo, and I'm a recent graduate from the University of Zambia in the field of food science and technology. And I recently also completed an apprenticeship at Community Markets for Conservation here in Zambia. And other than that, I have also got some experience with applying for the MEXT scholarship. So I'm still waiting on some confirmation for a final stage in the process that's kind of unique to my case. However, based on what I've been able to get through over the past year, I will be offering advice specifically for those interested in master's studies, those hoping to apply as master's students. So that said, let's move on to the next stage of the video. This is the first in the series, and it will just be an introduction basically. So first off, we have to look at what MEXT is. The MEXT scholarship, what is it? So MEXT is short for the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology in Japan. All right, so they've got this ministry, and it offers scholarships to foreign nationals for study in Japan for various fields. So it doesn't matter what you studied, because amongst some of the other applicants that I was able to meet at one of the stages of the process, there were some engineers there were some vets, doctors there were some PhD applicants in the field of biotech and whatnot. So it doesn't matter what field, as long as you can present yourself well and you're successful with the application, you too can become a MEXT scholar. All right. So here's a little chart detailing what exactly I will be talking about and what I won't be talking about, because here in the overview of the video, I had listed that I will talk about the types of MEXT, right? Because we've talked about what MEXT is. So now the types of MEXT scholarship are university recommendation, and this is one way of getting the MEXT scholarship, and embassy recommendation. So I went through the embassy recommendation. So we're going to stick to the dark side of the moon, guys. Forget this light colored part. I'll not be talking about the university recommendation in this video series. But for those that are interested in university recommendation, I do recommend that you join a Facebook group that I'm also a part of, and I will try to put the link in the description of this video so that you can ask others about the university recommendation and even the embassy recommendation. But I just wanted to highlight that I'm not going to be talking about it in this video series. So the embassy recommendation, I'll be specifically discussing the master's procedures and documents and processes, because that's what I applied for. However, I will not be looking at the doctorate related issues. I've messed up the presentation, but oh well. So there's also, you can also apply as a doctorate applicant or a professional graduate course applicant. Unfortunately, let me say it now, there are no undergraduate applications for Zambia, which is my country of origin. Okay, I am so sorry for those that want to apply as undergraduates, but they are not offering that at the moment, and I will not be talking about it in this video series anyway. So let's move on to a general overview now that I've talked about the types of MEXT scholarship. So as part of getting to the overview, I'm just going to go through what you might go through as you're going about your application journey. So first of all, you're going to look up the embassy in your respective country. In my case, it's Zambia for my Zambians. So you come through to the embassy website, and then you will notice that they have updated the information for the MEXT scholarship program, and there will be some little information, like some brief information explaining what the scholarship covers, and some information like this here. You must take note of each and every instruction given, because there's a reason why they're given these instructions and they expect you to follow them. So don't take any liberties. Please make sure you read through everything on this page as you go about your scholarship application or finding out about the scholarship anyway. So here in the email, once you gather all your documents together, they're just specifying to say that in the email you must write it like this. So please take note of such things. Don't skip over them. Follow each and every instruction given. Read through everything. We will go through things here, but don't take it for granted. Have the experience also. Read, read, read. Can't stress that enough. So also for my Zambians, take note of this. This is the deadline for application, and as of last year they did extend the initial deadline by a week, but just assume that they're not going to do that. You do not want to be found wanting because you might have let go of like a really, really good opportunity for yourself. So just take it that this deadline is the deadline that will be there. And there's some details also about the selection process. So once you assuming you've read through everything here, also that unfortunate information about the undergraduates not being the undergraduate applications not being open, which was the case even last year. I hope that this year things would be different, but oh well, guys, we move. So for those of you that are applying as research students, you're then going to go to this website here, this link rather, and it will bring you to the Study in Japan website, which is managed by the Japan Student Services Organization. And here is where you will get, sorry about that, these videos will only be lasting 10 minutes. Like, I'm using a video screen recording app that only lets me record for 10 minutes at a time, so you notice some choppiness every 10 minutes of these videos. Please forgive me. I'm trying to get this information out as quickly as possible, so I had to work with whatever I could. Okay, so you're going to look through these details again, read through everything. We will not do that right now because this is an introduction video. I don't want it to get too long. So you're going to have these application guidelines that you're going to download for research students. This is in English and this is in Japanese. And then here are some additional documents that we will take note of in the guidelines. So in the guidelines, it's going to talk about these documents. Each one of these will be listed somewhere that we are going to see. Then another thing that you need to take note of is on this website, they have a link for Adobe Reader. I don't know if it's Adobe, I don't know, but you're gonna need to get this app if you don't already have it, because this will really, really help you to fill in your documents. It's what I used. It even lets you sign the documents in app. You don't have to print stuff out, but take note that you will have to print out the certificate of health and then scan it again after a health professional has filled it in when you go for medicals. We'll get to all these stages. Don't you worry one bit. So first, let's get the application guidelines. So first things first, or rather second or third things third. I don't know what point we're at now in the counting, but yes, next thing after going to that website, you click on the application guidelines for research students. I would recommend that in your phone, assuming you have a smartphone, or if you're using a laptop, you download these and keep them in a specific file. I'm not using my laptop right now for this screen recording. I would have shown you guys, but I had a folder specific for my MEXT application documents. It just made things very easy for me to pull up the documents when I need them, quickly access them for reference and all. Because one thing that you need to know, or that I would recommend strongly, is after you've read through each thing that I've said, okay, read, especially these guidelines, you will need to pull them up again at each and every stage just to make sure you've gotten things done the way they've asked you to do them. That is very, very, very important. You do not want to leave any single stone unturned. If you don't get the scholarship, you mustn't say, oh, it's because I missed this. Please let that not be a regret of yours. Let it be that you put yourself out there, you did your very best, and you dotted your I's and crossed your T's, as a certain person once said, okay, as she was emphasizing something to me. So here is the application guideline document for 2024. So you'll notice it says 2024, even though this is 2023, because you apply a year before for MEXT. So I applied for in 2022 for 2023. Clear? Clear. So there's the details about MEXT, definitions, field of study, qualifications and conditions. Read all these things, guys. Read. We're not going to go through the whole document. Just overview. This is an overview video. This is an intro video, so I'm not going to read like every little word. Then there's the period of scholarship, extension of scholarship benefits. Here now you're gonna get to see like the money will motivate you. Are you seeing that? 143,000 yen per month. Depending on where you'll be living, it'll be 144,000 yen. And if you do your conversions, I've forgotten what it will convert to. Give me a sec. So in dollars, it's coming to something like $1,000 per month. These figures, anyway, roughly. You can Google it on your own, but don't let that overexcite you, I guess, because I know that. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, so sorry about that brief disturbance. I need to make a habit of muting my phone when I'm making these. Anyway, the show goes on. So, as I was saying, let this not be your major motivator, or don't get too excited by this amount, because I'm not there yet, but I know that I'm sure living expenses and research expenses will all go into this. And if at all you intend to do part of your research in your home country, like I intend to and hope to do, this may, as far as they're concerned, I'm sure they do their best to ensure that it's enough. But the point is just take it with a grain of salt. I can't say much more about the money, but oh well. So I'll just move on from there. So we have also suspension of payment of scholarship, and here's the part of this document that we will really focus on, because the last part of this video is an overview of the MEXT process. And here in the guidelines document, when you read through on your own, you will find this overview, and then we will proceed to have a look at this list of the necessary documents. But of course, do not just go by my video, because my video will encourage you to read, because the reading is the part that we're not going to do step for step in this video, but we will read through this one step by step. So the stages are as follows. There's the call for applications, opens at each Japanese diplomatic mission, submission of application documents. That's around April 2023, as is the case. For my Zambians, it opened on the 20th of April and will close on the 31st of March. In other countries, the dates may, vary depending on the diplomatic mission in your country, so just take note of that. And then, so under this stage, what will happen is the documents that we'll look at in this table here are what you will submit at this stage to the diplomatic mission of Japan in your country via email, as we saw as you would have seen on the embassy website in any case. So once you've submitted all the documents, what will happen next is a waiting period called the first screening, and within the first screening there will be the document screening and a test. Should you pass the document screening at this stage, you will be called upon to write a test and a subsequent interview. So in Zambia last year, what happened was we were called upon to write a test. There were 8 of us that wrote 2 tests, actually, both on the same day. We wrote an English language test and a Japanese language test. So anyway, I'll talk about these things in detail later, but don't let the Japanese test intimidate you. You do not need to know Japanese. We were literally told to just guess for the Japanese test. But if you know Japanese, that's a very, very, very big plus for you. So there'll be that test. Then after the test, those of us that were picked from the test writing stage were called upon for an interview. So I don't know how many we were at the point of interview. I just know that there were less than 8 of us. We were fewer at the interview stage than we were at the test stage. That's all I can tell you. That's all the information that was availed. So after doing the interview, you will be informed of your success. Should you be successful at the interview stage, you will be required by the embassy to then reach out to a potential supervisor of a program or field of study that you are interested in Japan, and request what is called a provisional acceptance to the Japanese university. That's this stage. So it also carries with it a deadline, and the guidelines specify what you need to do within what amount of time for this stage. So you can't leave it to chance. Make sure that immediately you're informed of your success of the first screening. Your documents will be returned to you. Your verified documents will be returned to you with an embassy stamp, and then those you can use them in this stage of requesting provisional acceptance. They will also give you a certificate of passing the first screening stage. But at this point, you are not a MEXT scholar. Don't take your success with a grain of salt, is all I'm saying. It's definitely a success, so don't underplay it, but don't overdo it either, because it's the process is still continuing. So basically, provisional acceptance is just a document written by your potential supervisor, should they accept you, saying that they are ready to take you on in your field of study, depending on what you want to study and whatnot. So there are guidelines related to this as well, this stage as well. All of it is explained in the guidelines document, and this is an overview video, so I won't get into it. So after you've been given a provisional acceptance letter from the universities that you've reached out to, you need at least one. So you can have even two, but not more than three, if I'm not mistaken, but the guidelines do specify. So just for logistical purposes, you should not have more than 3 provisional acceptance letters. So personally, I had 2, and that was enough. And then those letters, you will submit them to the embassy, because you have to constantly be getting in touch with the embassy on your progress on this stage. And then after that, as you are submitting the acceptance letters, provisional acceptance letters, you will then submit a placement preference form to the embassy. This form will is also one of the documents that will be submitted at the first stage. However, by the point that you've received provisional acceptance from maybe 1 or 2 professors, you may have changes in your placement preference. Maybe your first choice becomes your second, or your first choice becomes, gets scrapped off entirely, as was the case for me, and I was left with my second and third choice became my first and second choice. And so yeah, things may change, and that's why they require you to submit this once more, just so that as they do the following stages, they know what it is that you want. But of course, there are some there's some extra information that comes along at this stage, but we'll get into it later. So the next thing is, after you submit your placement preference form, the embassy itself will submit all your documents, your certificate of passing first screening, your placement, your provisional acceptance letter, your placement preference form, to MEXT. And remember, MEXT is the ministry that offers this scholarship in Japan. So they are a separate body that is going to screen you based on these previous stages that you've been able to pass. Okay, so this is also now quite a waiting period, as you can see, from October to February or January. Let's just say February. So by this point, after that, then you will get notification of your results, and if you are still successful, you will even be told which university you will be placed at, and the embassy will call upon you to sign a pledge form. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, guys. Otherwise, that's the general overview of the MEXT process. Please, if you've got questions at this point, pause the video, hit the comment section, and leave a comment or a question in the form of a comment or whatever. So you can also get in touch with me via email. I have dropped my email address in my channel, on my channel, so you can hit me up if need be. So now we need to get now that we've done the overview, let's go back to this stage, right? The stage at which we are submitting all our documents. So first and foremost, here in the guidelines, you will find, assuming you've read all the guidelines, you will now come back to this stage of the guideline document, and you will see this list. So this list, you can adapt it into what suits you best. You can keep it this way, but I would recommend, again, these are all recommendations, guys. If I come off like I'm saying do this, do that, I'm not being pushy. Just remember, these are actually all recommendations based on experience. I can't say you will be guaranteed of anything, but I am just going to do my best to share the information that it may be relevant to you. So I recommend that you keep this document in a place that's easy to reach. You can keep it in a notebook. You can, especially this list, you can keep it in a notebook form, written form, or a note in your smartphone. You can type out in your notes section or whatever. Yeah, so there are 11 of them in total, but in the next 10-minute section of this video, I will talk about each one briefly. Okay, so let's just, okay, my bad, I need to adjust this guy. Okay, so let's just talk about the documents in this list. Okay, so we have an application form. The application form you download from the Study in Japan website. Placement preference you will also download from the Study in Japan website. Field of study and research plan. So on the application form, we'll go through this document together in a separate video as part of the series. The placement preference form application, we will also go through it in a separate video. But just take note that at this stage, before you even start downloading and filling these in, at the point, actually, once you download and start now the process of filling these in, preparing the package, you need to do some soul searching and internet searching also for the universities of your choice that offer the MEXT or accept students that receive MEXT via embassy track. Some universities do not. So just make sure that the universities rather, because you're allowed to fill in 3 on this placement preference form. The universities that you're interested in do in fact offer MEXT, or rather accept students that are successful MEXT scholars. Okay, so then they've also got the field of study and research plan. Please don't be too intimidated by this, especially if you've got some if you've got some what's the word I'm looking for? Experience. I'm so sorry, how could I forget that word? If you've got experience doing research, this will be, though of course I don't want to be presumptuous and say take it lightly, no, but your experience with research will help you make this, and it's a brief document, especially for masters. You don't have to make it so long. It's just something brief, because the people that are going to see this in the first place are not people who are directly related to, it's not a guarantee that they're directly related to your field of study. They just need to get the general gist of what it is you want to do. So then you also have, we'll go through this in a later video. Then we have academic transcript or academic year of study of university attended. So this, of course, you will provide it from your university. If you were at UNZA like me, this is something that you can access from the UNZA offices, and you just need to ensure. I think that's how they are always printed, but each page of the transcript has to have that at the back, the grading system. That's very important. So when you scan your transcript, you have to include a scan of the back page where the grading system is explained. Please make sure you do that. Then there's a certification of graduation, so this is certificate of expected graduation or degree certificate, right? So the reason why there's 2 versions is because if you are applying and you're in your final year of study at university and your university is willing to give you a certificate of expected graduation, then you are still eligible to apply as long as by April 2024 or October 2024 you would have graduated for sure. Okay, but in my case, I was not granted this in 2022 in my final year because they were not sure that I was going to graduate, and they preferred not to take their chances. So I was not given that opportunity to have a certificate of expected graduation. But when it was confirmed that I was going to graduate, when I got my results in February 2023, in February 2021 was my final year of study. My bad. February 2022 is when I got my results and was certain that I would graduate, but would not have my certificate by the time that the MEXT application window was closing. So I approached my school and requested a letter of expected graduation, because at this point they're actually certain that I'm going to graduate. It's just the certificate that's missing. Okay, so that's a brief note there to take note of on document number 5. Then we also have the recommendation letter from President Dean or /Dean or the academic advisor at the current or last university attended. So again, we're seeing this thing of current or last. So if you're currently in university in your final year, make sure that it's your final year. You can't apply in like your second last year. No. You have to apply in your final year, or you should have applied. Should have graduated at this point for you to be eligible to apply. So you can request a recommendation letter from your supervisor of your research or any lecturer that is relevant to knows your work well enough, your work ethic well enough, and is capable enough to recommend you, or the dean of your school. Then this you will see format. There's a free format, a sample format is available. So on the website, the Study in Japan website, there will be a sample document that you will submit to your preferred reference, the person that you're going to approach for your recommendation. You will give them that, and they will be able to fill it in as need be. We'll look at it later. So also the medical certificate, this you will download, and this you will take with you when doing your medical. So just when you go to the hospital, you're gonna tell them that you would like to do like general medical checkup for a scholarship. At the hospital, I actually ended up doing my medicals in Chipata, and they were actually quite familiar with the concept of people doing medicals for scholarship purposes or school purposes, so they understand. I want to think that even other medical facilities understand, and maybe I'm saying this even though it's obvious. Forgive me, guys. I didn't expect it myself, so it was nice that was the case. Then for the abstract or thesis, so they will also have their own documents that they fill in, and you will take those with you when you're done. But you carry your format, the sample form, the certificate form. That's the one that's going to be accepted when submitting, and that's the one you submit. Then the abstract of thesis. So if you notice, these documents from 1 to 7 have white dots next to them, whilst the 8 to 11 have black dots next to them. The reason for this is because they understand that these are not mandatory. Because if it's abstract or thesis, right, you may not have done research in your final year for your degree program, and that's fine. You are not doomed, you are not condemned. You can still apply for MEXT. So the thing is, they'll still just require you to do something else, I think write an essay or something like that. But the point is just that if you've done research, you submit this. Take it that it's mandatory. But if you haven't done research, you'll definitely have an abstract for your research project. And if you didn't do a research product, that's fine. You don't have to submit this. Then for number 9, certificate of language proficiency, you do not have to submit this. So it says here that only in case the applicant has documents attesting to competency in Japanese or English, no original document necessary, date of issue, and you will read that. So this certificate of language proficiency, I think some further instructions are given in the guidelines below, but the point is just that I think for those, there are certain countries where they really do require you submit this. So if your university can provide you with some proof of language proficiency, like at UNZA, this was actually, I discovered when doing this process myself that this was actually a thing. So as I was preparing for graduation, this was one of the things that I went and had to pay for. It's something you pay for at UNZA. At other universities, I honestly don't know how it works, but I recommend that just to be on the safe side, you take it that is, I know it's not according to this dot here, but there's some notes, of course, for each of these. Read through, see note 9, make sure you read, but take it that is necessary and submit. Then there's a recommendation letter from the present employer. So this is in black, obviously, because they appreciate that not all of us are employed at the time of application, and that's okay. You can still apply even though you're not in employment, but if you are, you can submit a recommendation letter from your present employer, because it will make your application stand out and make it more give it that extra something, Then if you are planning to major in fine arts or music, you will need to submit proof of your artwork or digital recordings of your performances and the like. So we've gone through everything in the document list, and there are some added notes attached there. Please just read those. We'll not go through them in this video. So depending on how my experience with making these videos goes. I may change the structure in which I will address each and every document, but for the meantime, I intend to just follow this list we've gone through here in today's video as I disseminate the information that I think might be relevant to you potential applicants. So otherwise, thank you so much for your attention. If you've managed to make it to this, I think third section of the 10 minutes. So like now the video is probably like I think 30 minutes long. So I think my closing remarks will just be that I will do my best for this, and for those of you applying, all the very best. My fellow Zambians, all the very best to you. And for those of us that are not Zambian, those of you rather that are not Zambian, I'm wishing you all the very best as well. I recommend that you join the Facebook group that I think I mentioned in the previous one of the previous takes of the videos, because I experienced some challenges in making this. Was like take 2 or 3 of me trying to record all this information for today. But otherwise, I think this is where we will end it. That will be it for me. Join me next time on Yongo's MEXT Guide. Bye.